Yeah, we're good. We're with Peter Navarro. Close?
Assistant to the President and Director of the Office of Trade and Manufacturing.
I wasn't even close.
Just say Peter. Here we are with Peter.
Dr. Navarro. Okay, you're my hero. I read your book, Death by China.
I'm sorry I haven't been more available in the last month or two. It's just been kind of crazy, and I've been trying to make sure we negotiate behind closed doors, as it were.
We're not shy about asking who to come on.
Where do you broadcast out of?
Bannon's basement. No, we're out of our flagship is we have 2 studios, 3 now. One in Richmond and in downtown area Richmond, and I used to have and my other studio is at Corey Lewandowski's house, and now the 3rd one is in Bannon's basement. So that's kind of where we are.
Have you been showing up at the embassy? Did you actually go there now?
Yes. We actually do our show when I'm in town now. I do my show in Bannon's basement there at the embassy. So I set a studio up for him, and Ann and I set it up in a day, right? So took some stuff from this studio, that studio, Corey's house. So it's fascinating. I mean, I look, Steve's got his issues here in the White House, but he's really trying to get the message out and inform people in a consistent way about what is actually going on with this impeachment fiasco. Yeah. So he's done that. Now, tell us about where you are in the trade negotiations, Dr. Navarro, with the Chinese. The president keeps saying he's getting close, but he's not going to make a bad deal. So where exactly are we, Dr. Navarro?
We have a handshake deal as of October in the Oval Office, and the direction from the president was to paper the deal, meaning write it up, and so that's where we are. Ambassador Robert Lighthizer, the U.S. Trade Representative, is the lead negotiator. He works with his staff and his counterpart, Leo He, and He's staff, and they talked as late as Friday night for a lengthy period of time, and as far as we know, we're on a glide path to this Phase 1 deal. I think for your listeners, John, though, it's important to put this in context. The president, President Donald J. Trump, is the first president in history to stand up to the Chinese. The last 2 presidents, basically after China got into the World Trade Organization in 2001, basically laid down for Chinese aggression, and China basically had their way with American workers, manufacturers. We saw over 50,000 factories closed, millions of manufacturing jobs lost. What this negotiation is about is what I've called the 7 deadly structural sins. It's China hacking our computers to steal our business secrets, forced technology transfer, intellectual property theft to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars a year, the dumping of product into our markets at below cost, which puts factories out of business, solar, wind, furniture, steel,
lead lighting,
everything, right? These state-owned enterprises that roam the globe as the tip of China's mercantilist spear and with the benefit of government subsidies, currency manipulation, and for me, in many ways, worst of all, a killing of what will be over 100 Americans a day, over 50,000 a year with made-in-China fentanyl and other opioids. So this is not a trade deal. This is not a trade war. This is a battle between 2 countries over China's economic aggression against the United States. So the good news here is that in this Phase 1 deal, we're going to deal with some of those issues. Intellectual property theft has in-depth provisions. We got a good start on forced technology transfer, and currency manipulation. There's some provisions on that. Great news for farmers. They're supposed to double the amount of expenditures on farm products, up to about $50 billion. And so that's where we stand. And as President Trump says, let's see what happens.
The other thing that you didn't mention, where does this fit in, Dr. Navarro, is you've been a big advocate of how important it is for the United States to get its supply chain back from China to the United States. So the manufacturing is here, and part of the tariffs is to be able to make our manufacturing competitive because of the wage difference, right? And we saw that with steel. So in your negotiation in getting the supply chain back to the United States, how does that fit in the overall picture, sir?
The interesting thing about President Trump's leadership is this. When he took office, there was a general view that if we simply engaged economically with China, it would turn into this peaceful, democracy-loving country that we would have peace and harmony with and kumbaya. President Trump has completely changed people's perception about that. I think to the reality that China is a strategic rival. It is intent on building up its military. It's intent on basically growing its economy, often at the expense of the United States. And so that's an important change in attitude. The president basically is defending this country against China's economic aggression. And from that strong stance, that's what has allowed us to bring China to the negotiating table. The tariffs that have been imposed not only defend our technology, but they're our best insurance policy that China will bargain in good faith. So that's kind of what the chessboard looks like. You know, trade deals, trade negotiations, these are the things we do with Japan and Brazil and Europe and South Korea and Great Britain, right? They lower their tariffs, we lower ours, trade improves. This is not that with China. This is something very different. It's a battle over whether China will become an economic system that abides by the rules of the international road and allows folks around the world to grow prosperously, or whether they continue this zero-sum mentality.
Dr. Peter Navarro, assistant to the president and his chief negotiator of trade policy and manufacturing. Let me ask you a personal question, may I?
Yes, you may.
Yes.
Since I got a Dr. Seuss character staring at me here with the Trump Pence
my travel partner.
Ticket, I will take a personal question with all good humor.
So, as you know, I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm a disciple in your work, and I've read all your books. And so you have dedicated a lifetime in trying to explain to the American people what the problem is with China, how they took our jobs, and all the things that you just said. And you did that as an author in academia. Did you ever think that you would be in a direct position to take all of the things that you spent your career believing on it, working on, and be in the direct line of implementation and execution?
No.
Good answer. I didn't think so. But think of
you can't live your life. You can't live your life that way.
Right, but
you know what I'm saying? It's like what I've done all my life is to try to help solve problems. And the China problem came up when I was teaching at the University of California, Irvine, shortly after China joined the World Trade Organization. I'm teaching macroeconomics, and suddenly I'm seeing the American economy under siege, and I'm going, what's going on? So based on that, I began a study, and my first book that came out, The Coming China Wars. I mean, people's heads exploded when that went out there, thinking I'm crazy, and now it reads like a government report. But I'll tell you one thing, because I joke about this, or he jokes about it with me. It's like President Trump, I was out there early, but he was out there like way early.
He was out there. I mean, he's not. He
beats me by not years, but about a decade or two.
But I remember when
he got it.
I remember when that book came out. It was so unorthodox because the line was free trade is good, China is good. We'll open up everything. We'll open up the economy. They'll join the organization, and then all of a sudden, poof, there'll be prosperity and democracy. Right? That never happened.
Never happened.
Not close.
Not close.
And you said it wasn't going to happen. And you laid it out there. It's all there in your first book.
Well, it's one of the few predictions I wish I wasn't right about. But yeah, I got that one right. And there's a joke that Kennedy said when he got in the White House about Nixon. Like, he gets in and he says, you know what? It's worse than I said it was on the campaign trail. I'm telling you, being here at the White House, American people need to understand this is something that we need to address. Okay, these folks are out to get this country, and we need to understand that these are strategic rivals.
So we have to go, but you said the president wanted you to paper the deal. How far along are we on that?
That's Ambassador Robert Lighthizer comparative advantage. I let him do the work.
So we're in the papering phase. All right, Dr. Navarro, thank you so much for being with us. Always good to have you on, sir. Thank you.